This is the difference between an average video and a video that connects with you. The connection is through attractive colors, transitions, and graphics. And that's the final touch that makes a video stand out. That's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Before we start, there's one more thing that you have to do, which is identify what type of camera and what type of footage are we color grading. So here's where I have my original clips. I'm going to double click on any one of these clips. And on the right side, I'll open this metadata tab. And over here, you can get all the clip details. So if you go down and you can see this input color space, Blackmagic Design Pocket 6K Film Gen 4. Now, this is the input color space that we'll have to use when we are adding our CSTs and doing the grade. I'm going to select this clip. I'm going to go into the color page. You can see over here that because we have added clip colors, so we know exactly which are those clips that we need to color grade. Over here, I'm going to just label this as my primary. I'm going to hit Option S, create another node, and I'm going to label this master. To these clips, we have to add our CSTs. I'm going to select this first node. I'm going to press Shift plus space, and I'm going to add a color space transform. Now this is there in my history. You can just type it and it'll appear. I'm going to just click that and it'll pop up there. Then I'll open my FX bin. Now, this is very important. You've got to add that information that you got from the metadata over here. So in my input color space, I'm going to add the Blackmagic Design Pocket 4K Film Gen 4. In my input gamma, I'm going to add the Blackmagic Design Pocket 6K Film Gen 4. And in my output color space, I'm going to add a DaVinci White Gamma. And in the output gamma, I'm going to add a DaVinci Intermediate. So selecting this node, I'm going to just shift space and add a CST over here as well. And over here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose DaVinci White Gamma, DaVinci Intermediate for my output color space as Rec 709. And in the output gamma, you need to choose gamma 2.4. So this way, you know you're getting the proper output based on the particular camera that you've captured this footage in. Next, I'm going to grab a still. So I'm going to just open my gallery. Over here, I'm going to right click and hit grab still. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because all the other footage was captured on the same camera. So now I'm going to color grade this particular footage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more node over here. Let me just make this a little bit smaller so that you can see. And in this node, I'm going to label this as grade. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this white balance tool over here. And I'm going to choose a white area from this footage. Maybe somewhere here. I think that does a pretty good job. I think I can just tweak this a little bit, maybe make it 6, 7, 8, and I'll reduce the tint to about -1.5. Then I'm going to show you a quick hack how you can get DaVinci to do all the heavy lifting, and you can just make a few final tweaks and the job is done. So I'm going to press this auto balance button over here, and it does most of the work. So you can use this if it feels and looks accurate for your clip. Now there's a few more tweaks I want to do to this particular footage. So I'm just going to reduce my shadows just a bit. And also I'm going to reduce my highlights, and you can see the before and you can see the after. And you can see that all the colors are standing out as close to natural as possible. Now the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my blur sharpen and I'm going to reduce this a little bit to about 0.47 and just add a little bit of sharpness to this footage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just label this as CSTs. I'm going to just right click, grab still, and I'm going to label this as interview still. Now, what we can do, I'm going to just command select all the clips that have that orange tag you can see over here. So selecting all these clips, I'm going to right click over here and say apply grade. And the grading is done for the interview clips. It's that simple. Next, I'm going to go back into the edit page. Let's unhide this second layer. And now we're going to do the grading for all the B-roll footages. Now remember that CSTs still that we had grabbed. So I'm going to select all the B-roll clips that I have in my sequence. And then I'm going to just right click on my CSTs and apply grade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just color grade this a little bit more so that it looks a little more attractive. Selecting this, I'm going to press Option S. Since I'm on a Mac, you can press Alt S if you're on Windows. Create another node and label this as grade. Then I'm going to go back into my wheels. I'm going to white balance this shot. So I'll just go all the way in and you can see a little bit of white from over here, and this works 9 out of 10 times. And for this footage, it's sort of okay because I can't really see any other white spaces from this footage. So you can do that. And then I'm going to make DaVinci do the heavy lifting once again and just click on this auto balance. And it does a great job of grading this footage. So if you just go in over here and if you want to see the before we did this and now the after, you can see already the difference. So let's quickly move on to the next one. And for this, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to select this white balance tool, and you can see the true white from this banner over here. I'm going to select that. I'm going to maybe just reduce the temperature a bit more like that. Then I'm going to use this auto balance. It does a great job. Let's just make a few more tweaks, because sometimes what it does is it kind of stretches the colors way too much. So let's just bring that down a little bit, reduce the lift a little bit, reduce the gain to about minus 0.01. I'm going to bring down the gain to about 0.95. I'm going to improve my shadows, make that probably 32.5, and reduce my highlights to about minus 21. So you can see the before and the after. Now the one last thing we want to do, let's go into our HDR wheels. I'm going to work on my darks and just improve this to about 0.2. And then I'm going to go into my light, reduce this to about minus 0.3. So if you see the before and the after, you can see that it's bringing out all those colors. Let's go on to the next clip. So let's just select the white balance tool, and I'm going to choose my white from here because this is a white shirt. And then I'm going to hit A, and you see that it does a neat job. The only problem I can see with the auto balance in this shot is that you can see some of our colors are being clipped. And so I think I'll just reduce the highlights to about minus 30, maybe a little bit more like that. Now the last thing I want to do is I just want to bring out these colors. I want to bring out this color. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my curves. Let's go into the hue versus sat. I'm going to choose this color, and I'm going to just improve the saturation a little bit like that. So you can see the before and the after. Let's move on to the next clip. Once again, I'm going to just choose the white from, well, the logo is in white, so we can just use this. And then I'm going to use A, and it does a great job of this particular footage. So you can see the before and the after. Let's go on to the next clip. Again, I'm going to just use the white balance picker, select the white, and then hit A. And you can see it's making such a transformation to your footage just by doing these two things. And DaVinci in this case is doing almost 100% of the effort. Let's move on to the next clip. Now over here, what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to select the white from the shirt. And one more thing I want to do here, since this footage, as you can see the scopes, the footage is a bit underexposed. So I'm going to choose this select white point or pick white point. And once again, I'm going to choose this white from the shirt, and it automatically just brightens up the image. You can see the before and the after, and it just completely transformed the image so quickly. And I'm going to make a few more tweaks. So I'm going to just reduce the shadows to about minus 28 and improve the highlights to about 45. I think that looks a lot better, and the clip looks much more transformative. Now there's one last thing you want to do to this footage. So I'm going to hit Option S, create another node. I'm going to label this as detail. And what I want to do in this detail node is I want to just improve the gamma. So I'll just improve this individually to about 0.3. I'm going to do the same for the red, improve the green a little bit like that. So you can see that it's making a little bit of a change, and that's exactly what you want for this particular image, right? So let's go on to the next clip. So for this, let's go to a place where I can see that logo a little bit better, probably here. And I'm going to just select the white balance from here. Then I'm going to press A, and you can see it does a neat job of this image as well. And the last few things I want to do for this footage is I want to just reduce my shadows a little bit more and bring down the highlights as well. And in this footage, I can just see a little bit too much of saturation. So I'll just bring this down to about 41. Maybe we can improve the shadows a little bit so that we don't lose too many details, especially on the person's face. So I'm going to just improve the gamma a little bit like that. So you can see in the before and after, this looks a lot better than what it was originally. Let's go on to the next clip. Now in this footage, well, basically he talks about how they started. And so I want to give this like a nostalgic kind of a grade. And to this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose my white balance from the screen since we have white over here. Then I'm going to hit A to auto balance, and it gets out all those details. And again, when you can see on the scopes that it's kind of overextending a couple of the colors that are there from the footage. So we don't want that. So let's just improve the lift a little bit like that and bring down the gain to about 0.93. I'm going to reduce the shadows to about minus 14.5 and increase the highlights a little bit like that. And here's where I'm going to make it have that sort of nostalgic feel. So I'm just going to reduce the saturation to about 18. Now there's one last thing I want to do. I'm going to hit Option S, create one more node, and I'm going to label this as effect. And having selected this, I'm going to press Shift plus space and I'm going to choose a film damage effect. And that does all the transformation that you need to get that nostalgic look and feel for this particular clip.
16, I designed the logo.
Like that. Let's go on to the next B-roll. And over here, I just want to make this a little bit warm, about 450. And then I'm going to use this tool that we have. We're going to choose the black point from this person's shirt. And I'm going to choose the gain by just going a little bit forward. Over here, you can see a bit of white coming onto the watch. So I'm going to choose the white point and choose this. So you can see that it does that transformation for you if you know where to pick your black and white points. The last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just open up my stills. Since I have one more footage captured in the same location, so I'm going to just right click over here and grab still. I'm going to go into the next B-roll, and since it was pretty much in the same location, I'm just going to go over here, right click and apply grade, and it does the job. So let's go on to the next one. Once again, I want to set a custom temperature of 450, make it a little bit more warm, and I'm going to bring down the lift a little bit. I'm going to improve the gamma just a bit and reduce the gain to about 0.94. Let's just bring down our shadows as well and reduce our highlights a little bit, like that. There's one thing I want to just make sure is that a little bit of the detail from the person's face comes back. I think I'll just improve the gamma a little bit more, like that. So let's go on to the next one. Alright, so in this footage, I want to just go a little bit forward to grab my white balance, like that. And I think I'll just increase the temperature a little bit more and reduce the tint a little bit more. Let me just reduce the lift a little bit and bring down the gain as well. I'm going to improve my shadows to about 25. I'm going to reduce my highlights just a little. And the last thing I want to do is I'm going to just add a bit of contrast. Now, if you see the before and the after, it already feels a little more stylistic and cinematic based on the color grade. So the next clip, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this auto balance, and it does a great job. So what we can do once again, since we have one more clip that looks exactly like this, or it was shot in the same location, is grab still. Let's go on to the next clip. And in this footage, I'm going to just go to my stills and hit right click, apply grade. So if you see this one more time, it'll feel and look like it was the same shot and it was graded in the same manner.
So how do we embody that?
That was the idea. Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to add a custom temperature. Once again, I'm going to add it to about 450. Then I'm going to hit A. I'm just going to reduce the highlights to about minus 17.5. So if you see the before and the after, I feel this looks a lot more vibrant and those colors really stand out, and that's exactly what you have to do when you're doing color grading. Let's go on to the next clip. So over here, I'm going to just again add a custom temperature about 360. I'm going to increase the contrast to about 1.1. And the reason I'm doing that, if you see the before and the after, there's already way too much noise coming for this footage. And that's obvious because it was a nighttime shot. So I'm just trying to reduce that a little bit. And I want to make sure that it's less noisy. So I'm going to reduce my shadows to about minus 63. And I'm going to improve my highlights a little bit. So if you see the before and the after, I've tried my best to reduce as much noise as possible, but there's always going to be a little bit of noise because it was shot in pitch black in the dark. If you want, you can always add that noise reduction, but I don't really see the need for this shot. Let's go on to the last B-roll. And in this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select my white balance from the white of this logo on the door. I'm going to reduce the shadows just a little bit, maybe minus 37.5, and bring down my highlights as well, like that. So you can see in the before and the after, this shot was obviously a little bit too overexposed, and that's the reason why I've brought it down a little bit so that it feels a lot more natural. Next, let's go into our HDR. I'm going to work on the dark. I'm going to improve the exposure of the dark areas to about 0.36. Then I'm going to work on my shadows. I'm going to improve my shadows a little bit. And for the light areas, I want to just bring this down a little bit to about negative 0.13. Now, one last thing I want to do over here, I'm going to just go over here. I'm going to go into my highlights and I want to reduce my highlights to about negative 0.45. So if you see in the before and the after, you can see that even the lighter areas of our footage are less white and now have become just bright. And that's exactly what you want. You want to make sure that you bring back all those details. And that's the intent of color grading your footage. You want to make sure that you get as close as possible to those true colors without overexposing or losing any details. And you bring out those vibrant colors. And that's exactly what you do when you're doing color grading in DaVinci Resolve. All right, next, let's go back into the edit page. Over here, in this area where you just have the background appearing, and I'm going to press Shift plus right arrow, move ahead 1 second. So let's just go down to our graphics bin. So I'm going to just select this and drop it over here. And I want this graphics to come for about 4 seconds. So that's pretty much till the end. I want this to sort of fade in. So let's just go to about 12 frames forward. And I'm going to just fade this in like this. I'm going to just close this metadata, open my inspector, and we have this dynamic zoom option. I'm going to enable that. I'm going to have this dynamic zoom as ease in, ease out.
My name is Chris Lang and I'm the founder of Warrior Mountain Outfitters.
So that just looks and feels a lot more better than just having a vacant open background. Next, where you have the person who's being interviewed basically introducing themselves. So I'm going to add a quick text graphics. So let me just open my effects and I want to add a draw on 2 lines lower third, and I'm going to just add this over here. I'm going to reduce this to about this much.
And I'm the founder of Warrior Mountain Outfitters.
I'm going to just enter his name and his designation. And I'm going to just change the outline color.
And I'm the founder of Warrior Mountain Outfitters. We are located
like that. I'm going to just option left click and drag and just create another duplicate of this same thing. And I want to move this starting from here and all the way till the end of this clip. So since he's introducing the store and where it's located, I'm going to add those details. Now, one more thing you want to do over here, since you can't really see the text. So I'm going to just right click, open this in the Fusion page, and I'm going to add a nice background to this. I'm going to just drag and drop a background node. Then I'm going to select this merge tool and press Command T. Basically, it's going to switch the background and the foreground. And having the background selected, I'm going to create a quick mask and position this in this area. I'm going to go into the background and reduce the alpha to about 0.5. So that way it'll look much more neater and you can see that text a little bit better. And over here, just before the text disappears, we're going to just add a little bit of a fade out for this. And we want to do the same thing over here as well. And this is how it looks.
We are located in our store in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Warrior Mountain Outfitters.
Next, what we're going to do is we want to add basically an ID. So I'm going to quickly just add a logo. I'm going to just drag and drop this one more time. I'm going to extend this all the way till the end like that. What we're going to do, we're going to just open this in the Fusion page, and having this selected, let me just quickly drag and drop a background. And one more time, I'm going to press Command T, put this in the background. I'm going to choose a rectangle mask for this. I'm going to extend the width and the height to 1, and we just want a corner radius for about 0.2. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to just go to the background and reduce the alpha to about 0.81. So let's go back to the edit page. Let me just go a little bit forward and I want to just fade this in, and I want to do the same at the end and give a nice fade out. Now over here, I want to add the website link because every promotional video would like to have a CTA or a call to action. I've created this in my power bins. So if I go into this bin, you can see the center reveal effect that I've created here. So I'm going to just drag and drop this over here like that. Now we can do a quick grade for this as well. So we can just go to the color page. So for these clips as well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just drag and drop that CST that we grabbed. I'm going to just drop that there. And for this as well, in the last clip, I want to add the apply grade from that as well. Now the last thing you want to do is add a few transitions, and this particular edit is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here between this cut. I'm going to open my effects, and in my video transitions, I'm going to add a crash zoom. I'm going to drag and drop that over here. Next, I'm going to go to this cut and I'm going to add a foreground wipe. And over here, I want to add horizon reveal transition. And at this cut, I want to add a simple cross dissolve. And over here at this cut, I'm going to add a film strip transition. And you can see that there's a little bit of the background that's coming on the screen. So what we can do for that is I'm going to just go over here and I'm going to just unlink this video clip. I just want the video clip to extend till about there. And then I can just link everything back.
First started in 2016.
Like that. So we have a nice background when the transition happens. Next, let's just go into the next clips. And once again, I'm going to use my cross dissolve and drop it over here, and drop it one more time over here. Let me just reduce the duration a little bit so that we can see the footage. So that's pretty much it. And your video is pretty much done and it's ready to be exported, ready to be published. So here's the final video one last time for you.
My name is Chris Lang and I'm the founder of Oregon Mountain Outfitters. We are located in our store in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Oregon Mountain Outfitters is a lifestyle and outdoor brand that not only promotes the outdoors, but also gives back at the same time to our communities that we live in. And so with every purchase, we donated lunch to local schools, and we donated over 100,000 lunches so far. First started in 2016. I designed the logo that braces our brand today. Being able to connect and hear their stories and tell our stories, and that's what really inspires us. And we take that inspiration and we bring it back to the store, and that's really where the design process starts. So how do we embody that? The only way to do that is to experience it, and that's why we say experience the Southwest.
Anyways guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you learned something, and if you did, then be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and comment below what you learned and what you found interesting, and more importantly, let me know what you want to watch next and I'll make a tutorial for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.